Yo, can I get the template? Can you give me the template?
Awesome.
It's got the best website on the internet. But do you have any
Template.
templates? I would love to slow down the tutorial and show us more everything all these. That would be making this please.
Okay, calm down, okay? I hear you. So it seems like a lot of you were intrigued by my Spider-Man web shooter, which I made a video about around a month ago. And since then, I've gotten a lot of comments from you guys showing interest in making your own web shooters. So in this video, I thought I'd put together a detailed step-by-step tutorial along with free downloadable templates, which I'll leave a link to in the description down below. To make this web shooter, there are a couple very specific materials that you'll need. But don't worry, I got you covered. I'll link to all those materials in the description. Really quickly, before we get into the web shooter tutorial, I need to mention something very important that might make or break your web shooter. So here it is. The two most important materials that you'll need to worry about are the spring and the magnet. Everything else is basically secondary and not that important, but the spring and the magnet are important, and here's why. The design of the web shooter won't work unless the diameter of your magnet is 1 millimeter or less smaller than the inner diameter of your spring. Basically, if none of that makes sense, your magnets need to be able to fit through the spring in order for this design to work. If you're gonna make this, make sure you use the links in the description to buy the spring and the magnet, the same ones that I used, and that will make your life a whole lot easier. Plus, I designed these templates for those spring and magnets anyway, so just use the links. It's easier. For this build, you'll need a steel compression spring, 2 5mm neodymium magnets, 9 6mm neodymium magnets, thin cardboard. Now I'm using 1/16 inch cardboard, and you'll want to avoid using something thick like this because the Homecoming web shooter has a very sleek, low profile look to it, and the thinner cardboard will help emulate that. So if you do use thicker cardboard, keep in mind that you'll probably have to make a few tweaks to the templates. Black, red, and silver acrylic paint, as well as some paintbrushes, any thin white string, jumbo popsicle sticks, bamboo sticks, super glue, masking tape and duct tape, standard hole puncher, tweezers would be nice but aren't necessary, basic drawing and cutting utensils, and of course my free downloadable templates, which you can find in the description of this video. Alright, well, the first step of course is to download and print out my templates. Once you've printed out the templates, you'll want to go ahead and just roughly cut out all the pieces. Doing this will just simply make it easier to cut everything out because the pieces will all be separated. So for ease of use, I've individually numbered all of the template pieces, and throughout this video I'll be referring to those numbers. So go ahead and take piece number 1 and cut it out. Don't forget to punch out this hole here with a hole puncher, then trace and cut out piece number 1 onto cardboard. Make sure you get these dotted lines marked down as well because those are important. If you find that your cuts aren't clean, then it probably means you have a dull blade. So if that's the case, then make sure you swap it out or sharpen it, and that will really help you to make smooth cuts. Next thing you want to do is fold the cardboard where these two lines are, and make sure you use the corrugation to your advantage here. So when you cut out this piece, you'll want to make sure that the corrugation is running the right way. As you can see, I turned this piece into sort of a cuff shape by continually bending the cardboard until I could fit it around my wrist. Now it's important to mention here that you want to keep this top portion flat, so don't bend this part because later on we'll be gluing stuff on it and we want it to be flat. Okay, moving on, go ahead and cut out pieces 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then you'll want to trace and cut out 2 of each of these onto cardboard. Then go ahead and super glue all those pieces to the base as shown here. And of course, you'll want to glue the other set of those pieces on the other side. Then take piece number 8 and trace and cut it out twice. Now use the corrugation to bend those pieces so they become curved like this. Measure 3/8 of an inch from the top and make marks like this. These marks are going to indicate how much of this piece we want to hang over. At this point, it would be a good time to give this a coat of black paint, and make sure you really use the brush to get deep into those grooves. Hey, real quick, if you're getting value out of this video, then make sure you subscribe because I'll be making tons more videos just like this one in the future.
Next up is piece number 9, and for this piece we won't be needing to transfer this to cardboard, we'll just be using the paper itself. So what you're going to do with this slip of paper is make the barrel, and you want this barrel to be slightly larger than your spring. Make sure this isn't too tight because you don't want too much friction. You want it to be just large enough for the spring to be able to slide freely. Once you've created the barrel, go ahead and cover it in 2 to 3 layers of super glue in order to strengthen it. After it's fully dry, just do a quick test fit with your spring to make sure it still slides freely because the glue would have made the inner walls thicker. Now cut out piece number 10 and transfer that onto cardboard. Once you've got that cut out of cardboard, add 3 to 4 layers of super glue to make it super hard and rigid, and once that dries you can go ahead and glue that piece onto the end of the barrel. Cut out piece number 11, then take a bamboo stick and cut that stick down to the width of piece number 11. Next, you'll have to roll up piece number 11 around the bamboo stick as tight as possible, then glue the end of the paper shut. Once you've done that, it would be a good idea to coat the whole thing in a thin layer of super glue, and that way this whole thing just kind of stays preserved and doesn't want to rip over time. Now you want to glue a 5mm magnet to the end of that stick, and then flip it over and glue a 6mm magnet to the other end. Take piece number 12 and wrap that around the 6mm magnet. Make sure to leave a little bit of the magnet hanging over like this because that little extra bit there should help it stick to metal surfaces better. Also, you'll probably want to cover this in super glue as well. Now go ahead and fit your spring onto this piece and add a little super glue to the end of it to make sure it doesn't come off. Alright, well if you've done everything right so far, your two pieces should be able to go together like this and your spring should be able to compress. Now we're at piece 13, which is the nozzle piece, so go ahead and transfer that onto cardboard. Paint one side silver, then flip it over and paint the other side black. Now you want to kind of bend and shape this piece into sort of a tube, and just like some of the other pieces we made, you've got to be conscious of the direction of the corrugation when you're cutting this piece out because you'll need to bend along those grooves. Alright, so wrap the nozzle around the barrel now and then glue the two ends of the nozzle shut. Also make sure you add a lot of glue to the inside of the nozzle from all of these different angles here because you want a really strong connection between these two pieces. Then go ahead and paint the tip of the nozzle silver like I show you here. Go ahead and glue that whole piece to the front of the web shooter with about 3/8 of an inch hanging over. Moving on, let's go ahead and transfer piece number 14 onto cardboard. And then what you want to do is temporarily tape on the template onto the cardboard using some masking tape. The reason we're doing this is because we've got these black lines here that we've got to carve out. So what you want to do here is just score the cardboard. You don't want to cut all the way through. What you want to do is just partially cut through so that that bottom layer of paper is still intact. So if you've done this correctly, then you should have something that ends up looking like this. Now you want to bend the cardboard along the corrugation until you get something that looks like this. Once you've got that shape, then you can go ahead and paint the whole thing black and then attach it onto your web shooter like this. If you're like me, then you might end up with these little glue marks here where the two edges meet, and that looks pretty ugly, so if that happens you can just go ahead and touch that up with some black paint. Now transfer piece number 15 onto cardboard, paint that black, and then glue that over here. Cut out piece number 16 onto cardboard, and for piece number 17 you're going to use a popsicle stick. Then go ahead and glue those two pieces together. Next, cut out piece number 18 twice, once on cardboard and once on a popsicle stick, and glue those two pieces together. Now line those two pieces up together like this, and you'll want to connect them together using a piece of duct tape. The reason we need that duct tape there is so that it can flex like this and act as our trigger. When we put the duct tape on, we kind of covered up some of the cutouts, so what you want to do now is just take the template and remark where those holes are and cut them out. Transfer piece number 20 and 21 onto a popsicle stick, and once you've got them glued together like this, you can reinforce the whole thing with a layer of super glue. Now go ahead and slide that piece through this little slot here and glue that in place really well. At this point you should paint this black because it's a lot more convenient to paint it now rather than later. Once that paint dries, go ahead and glue 6mm magnets in all of those holes. Alright, well you can set that piece aside for now and we'll come back to that later. Go ahead and cut out piece number 21 onto cardboard and piece number 22 onto a popsicle stick. Then go ahead and glue them together like I'm showing you here. And you want to paint this piece black as well. Once that dries, the next step is to glue magnets into all of those holes, but this time you've got to make sure that the magnets are oriented correctly. Eventually these two pieces are going to interact like this, so just do a test to see which side attracts, and from there you'll know which side should be face up. It would be a good idea to add an extra layer of super glue once you've got all the magnets placed in there, and that will really keep them locked in there and prevent them from popping out. Once everything dries, these two pieces are ready to be glued together. To complete the trigger, take piece number 23, transfer it onto cardboard, paint that black, and then you can glue that right there. Then you can go ahead and glue that whole entire contraption to the web shooter like so. Now it's time to make the web cartridge, which is piece number 24. Be sure that you transfer all of these lines on the inside of the box onto the cardboard as well. So now what we've got to do is accentuate this middle line that you see here, and to do that what I'm going to do is just score the cardboard on either side of that line and then kind of peel away at the cardboard until we're left with just that bottom layer of paper, and that will give us this nice groove that we're looking for. Same goes for this other line here at the bottom, just do the exact same thing there. Those other lines on the side there indicate where you need to fold the cardboard, and of course you really want to use the corrugation to your advantage here, so try to plan out in advance to make sure that the corrugation lines up with your fold lines, because you really don't want to end up fighting with the cardboard to get it to fold how you want it. There's one more piece that we need to cut out of cardboard for the web cartridge, which is piece number 25, and again make sure you mark those inner lines. Just like we did on the other piece, you're going to have to notch out those lines using the exact same method I showed you earlier. Then flip this piece over and add a small piece of duct tape where that hole is to cover that up, so that you can add a 6mm magnet right there. At this point I would recommend adding a little bit of super glue in between those grooves, just because those tend to be a little weak and flimsy. Once the glue dries, glue these two pieces together like I'm showing you here. Then take piece number 24 and cut out that little box in the corner there, and use this slip of paper to cover up the back end of the web cartridge. Once that's done, you can now paint the web cartridge. While that web cartridge is drying, you can put a piece of duct tape over that hole, flip it over and glue in a 6mm magnet. That magnet will be attracted to the magnet on the web cartridge, so make sure it's properly oriented. Once your web cartridge is all nice and dry, you can pop it in there and it should just snap into place. One thing I think is worth noting is when you load your projectile into the barrel, you kind of have to use some force to do it, and you might end up ruining the cardboard a little bit, so to prevent that, you can add some super glue right there to reinforce it, and that will make it a lot more durable. Once the glue dries, make sure you paint over it to make it look nice. Now add magnet closures to your web shooter so you can actually wear it. And of course I didn't include this part in the template because everyone's wrist size is a little bit different, so you're going to have to customize that yourself. For the web, I would recommend cutting about 4 to 5 feet of string. And once you've got your string cut out, go ahead and clip a 5mm magnet to the back side of your projectile and then glue the string to that magnet. At this point, the web shooter is complete, but before you can shoot it, you need to feed all of your string into the web cartridge. Now, this is of course a pretty slow and tedious process, but maybe in the future I'll make another web shooter with a more efficient reloading system. Let me know in the comments below if that's something you'd like to see.
Hey, so I want to give a big shout out to Miriam Anwar. She watched my last web shooter video and sent me this video of her web shooter that she made. So thank you, Miriam, for that video. I also want to give a shout out to Syrup Noodles, who saw my pinball machine video and he built his own cardboard pinball machine. Very, very cool, guys. So thank you for submitting those videos, both of you. If there are any of you out there who see my videos and make something from them, then feel free to email me a picture or video and I'd be more than happy to feature you guys.
Hey, well if you liked this video, then you'll probably like my cardboard crossbow too, so click or tap the screen to check out that video.